South Africa have pretty much destroyed England in the third T20I at Southampton, winning by 90 runs, bowling England out for 101 runs after setting a total of 191 for five. For me, big performances with the bat from Reza Hendricks again, 3 half centuries on the bounce. Radila Soul showing what he is capable of. Aiden Markram again with another 50 coming back into the team straight away, scoring runs, taking a wicket. We've had a fifer from Saji, a very excellent performance from him, supported well by the rest of his bowlers, and ultimately a very good performance from South Africa. So, what can I say? There's lots to talk about still, even though that this was a victory for South Africa. I know I look like an Eskimo because it's super, super cold here in Cape Town. It's a fan calling show for you guys to be able to call in and have your say too. So let's have that conversation and let's talk about this game and let's analyze it as much as we can and give our views on what we think about this particular game. Now, before we get started, before we get going, please subscribe to this channel. Please click that notification bell for all future videos. Also, don't forget to smash that like button. Don't forget to comment. Don't forget to share. Don't forget to do all of those type of things as well, because that's how we get into recommended feeds. But also get into the download our Cricket Fanatics magazine monthly. Every issue is 100% free, straight to your inbox every month. The link is on the screen as well as in the description. We're working hard on the next edition. We're hoping to bring it to you guys tomorrow. If not, it will be on Tuesday, but we are pushing for it to get ready for you guys tomorrow. I'm going to be working all night tonight to try and get this magazine out as well, because sometimes I have to also wait for articles and for people to commit to those interviews, because sometimes our writers will organize interviews and the times change and things get difficult closer to the time. So I have to sometimes work till very late the day before a magazine. So please go and support us with that. Download the latest issue of Cricket Fanatics magazine monthly. Also become a patron if you want to help us grow South African cricket and you want to be a part of this journey. Become a patron today. Link is on the screen as well as in the description. It's not a lot of money, guys. You can choose a tier. You can pick how much you want to pay. But the more people that do get together and club together, the more we can provide for you as a fan base and the more we can do for South African cricket. Go to cricketfanaticsmag.com for all updates. We've got a first half review, you could say first innings review and a second innings review, a final match report, both up on the site. So please go ahead and take a look at that as well. We give you daily updates on cricketfanaticsmag.com. The super chats are active, so you can get involved with the super chat if you want to. If you want to make sure that your questions get read out on this show, because a lot of people join this review show, so the live chat gets a bit crazy. So if you guys want us to see it and jump out from the rest, then get involved with the super chat. So without further ado, let's get straight into today's video. A very good evening and welcome to Cricket Fanatics Magazine. This is your review show. I'm your host, Khalid, and this is the show where we talk about everything that has to do with South Africa's T20 series against England. Now, particularly focusing on the third T20I between the two teams at Southampton. So, what a game. I really enjoyed the cricket that was on display. South Africa continuously got stronger in this particular series. I don't think there were many weak performances today, ultimately. Quite a few great performances, besides obviously Quinton de Kock. Now, that's something that we're going to have to probably talk about, and we've been bringing this topic up quite a bit on this channel on what we're going to do with Quinton de Kock. I mean, Reza Hendricks, 3 man of the series, 3 half centuries in a row, doing an excellent job at the top of the order, really taking his chance in the absence of Temba Bavuma, and he's going to make it very difficult, extremely difficult for Temba to get back into the team. Now, they're going to have to decide what they're going to do. Are they going to go with backing their captain and picking him on the captaincy basis? or are they going to go with regards to batting form? Me personally, I think it's going to be very difficult for them to give reasons fully. I think right now, at this point of view, it would have been a different story scenario if Temba Bavuma was playing the series and maybe didn't come to the party, and then obviously Riza came to the party. Then it would be an easy decision. But Temba not being available, hasn't been putting on runs recently consistently for South Africa, but showing signs of what he can offer Quinton de Kock as a partner up top and what he can offer as an opener has been there. But I don't think right now, at this point of view, it's going to be with all the performances that have been going on, everybody performing, putting up their hand except Quinton de Kock. It's going to be difficult for Riza to lose his spot to the likes of Temba Bavuma. That is my stance on that. As it stands now, I'm watching too much American series and stuff. So that's my stance currently on this. Um, Moving on from that, what we saw from Riley Rousseau. Now, even though Riley Rousseau never got a half century or a major score today, I still saw signs of something good. And I spoke the other day, we spoke on the channel about him specifically. And I spoke particularly about his performance and maybe opening the batting and why maybe I don't like that idea because of the fact that he's been playing as a number three for the last 2 3 years consistently. So I want that rhythm to go and to be him to be continuously accepted in that particular role. But today he came in basically, you could say, as an opener because Quinton de Kock went out for a duck. So ultimately, he was batting as an opener, facing the new ball in the beginning overs, and survived. I know he got beaten early on by Willie, and but what I liked about the way he approached that was the fact that he kept a straight bat. He didn't try to swing out wide like Quinny did, and some of our batters do. They go fishing and then they chop on or they get caught. So I like the attitude of him just keeping a straight back, playing the line, because then if he does miss, he's not in major danger. He had a little bit of a scare there, you could say, with the LBW. But what I like from him today is the fact that he did run between the wickets, calling hard, running hard to try and run between the wickets and keep that run rate going with Riza Hendricks. He built a nice little partnership there. He took the pressure off Riza Hendricks as well. I think that is exactly what we were looking for with to someone to do for Quinton de Kock. Because I'm hoping that Quinton de Kock can put on performances like Riza has. And at the moment, it's not happening. So there is something that we need to talk about, but I'm going to get the panel on for that a little bit later. I'm just going to give my summary until everybody starts coming in on the show. I know a lot of people are watching the post match, etc., and they want to see who was one man of the match. I'm going to just bring the panel on when everybody is here and it's more people over here, obviously. So I'm going to move on. Aiden Markram. What can I say about Aiden Markram? I mean, I've been saying that he should be our number four South African cricket. I think as a extra bowling app or other 4 or 5. I mean, I don't really mind. I mean, I even can see him bat at 3 or open. So I actually doesn't really matter. We just pick Aiden. It doesn't matter where he plays because the man is exceptionally talented and he's shown that he can offer a couple of overs with the ball too and do a decent job. So that's another player in form going into the next going into the World Cup, you would say, but we still have another series to play. We still have warm-up games to play, so we're going to have to see who is the best on form heading into that. But he gets some amazing credit. I won't criticize David Miller, even though he got 22 of 9 because he had the right intent coming out in the middle. He came out with trying to get us to that 190, maybe 200 mark. And if you come out with that intent, the chances are that you are going to lose your wicket and you might get a good delivery and you might hit the ball in the wrong direction and or you can miss and get bowled or whatever the case may be. So the intent was right, so I'm fine with that. Tristan Stubbs in the little cameo that he played showed the intent. I think he's the best number 6 in the country. That's my statement that I'm making right now. So I'd like to see him work back into this team. Bowlers. Let's get into the bowlers. Keshav Maharaj did a good job, 2 for 21. Anik Nokia did a very good job. He was bowling at 93 miles per hour, 150 kilometers plus today. He was looking great. And I know that I've been talking about him and a little bit and saying a little bit inconsistent, maybe with his lines and lengths. But today, he was pretty spot on. I know he only bowled 2 overs, but he was pretty spot on today. I think he put in a good performance. I think the Bray Shamsi was phenomenal, and I've been saying this for a very long time. Never doubt a great player like the Bray Shamsi. He's always going to prove you wrong. He always seems to do it. What an excellent performance from De Bruyne. But I need to get a little bit more here into the analytics of this all, because I feel that the reason why De Bruyne did do well today is because he wasn't completely um, what is the word, spooked by the boundary like he was in Bristol. I think that when preparation, and I mentioned it after our review show of the first T20I, I said that he seemed a bit spooked by the big boundary because, by the small boundary, sorry, because his wrist spinners can get punished. And on a smaller boundary, it's even easier. If you miss your line slightly, you are traveling. Whereas with the Breshams, his pace that he bowls, the accuracy, the change ups, on a bigger ground, it's a lot more difficult to clear the boundary off him, and he gets wickets as a result. So, this conditions, the field, the ground suited the Brayshams' game to the T. And I think that he's going to be perfect for Australia because we're going to see a lot of big boundaries in Australia. The only thing that we're going to have to think about is whether or not there's going to be purchase in the wicket or not enough um, for the spinners in Australia, but we'll have to wait and see for that. But Prodis must go to him. Adile Pechlekwayo bowled very well today. I want to see some people actually give him a compliment when he does play well and not only criticize him holistically. And that's kind of what has been happening. But give him some credit today. I still don't think he fits our best 11. In my opinion, I still think we got Dwayne Pretorius and Wayne Parnell that I feel are still a little bit slightly ahead of him. On a bigger wicket, on a bigger ground, though, Antile can be dangerous, and he proved that. I'm still worried about some of those balls that drag across the batter. Particularly, I'm talking about right-handed batters. The ball drags across their pads a bit, and he just flicks you off, and he takes all the pressure off that he's building, which I think he needs to add a little bit, get a little bit more accuracy from his bowling perspective. And I've said it before, it seems like one day it's bowling, then it's the batting, then it's bowling, then it's batting. Today he didn't get to bat, so we don't know if he could have done the holistic all-rounder role. But that's the role of an all-rounder. Whatever job you are meant to do, you need to perform. So, but we need to give him credit for bowling well today because he bowled his full 4 overs today, and he only went for five for 75, 1 for 23. He's over, and he got a key wicket of Malan. So he's been taking key wickets at least in the series. He can get a pat on the back for that. And Aiden Markram, of course, 1 for 5 in his 1 over. So holistically, a very, very good performance from South Africa. But what happened to England? The free-flowing, attacking cricket of England. They were playing Test cricket today, man. What the hell happened there today? I heard Sean Pollock also say that on the comms as well. Like, I mean, they looked bad. I mean, they even got booed by the crowd. So clearly, it's not only me that thinks so; it's the English fans think so too. So they struggled and they didn't look the same. And what made it even greater for me is that Johnny Bairstow was stranded because I'm not a big fan of Johnny, and I saw him stranded there in the middle, and that was great for me to see. He couldn't get off he couldn't get the ball away, and we just strangled him. And that's the strengths of our bowlers and the unit that we have. What I'm liking is I like that we have a holistic squad going here. We've got players that love each other, that look like they're having fun. They look like they are happy. They look like they are understanding that the fact that this is a squad game now for the World Cup. To win a World Cup, you need a squad, and everybody needs to be switched on. So excellent performance. Let's get the panel on, guys. I've got Tsepo with me, and I've got Ashwani with. Oh, Tsepo's gone. I've got Ashwani with me. So we're going to start chatting first and foremost with Ashwani. How's it, brother? How are you doing? Great to hear from
Yeah,
you, and you can join us.
yeah,
What would you like to say?
yeah. I'm fine, Khalid. Yeah, it's fantastic performance by South Africa. Very, very happy. And what is happening to England? This has been, I think, the outstanding performance from South Africa. I think since that maiden wicket over, they have barely made a single mistake in strategy or in execution. And I think I must credit to the management's strategy, what they thinking, the team plan, the playing 11 they put in. We all thought that why they put in that playing 11, but I think they put that playing 11 according to the situation and the grounds past history. Because if you saw Southampton and and even Cardiff, these grounds have low score history. So South Africa had put that playing 11 according to the situations, and credit off to the management. I think if we coming to the match today, I think the when De Kock's wicket is gone, Russo and that guy, that opener has taken the
Hendricks.
charge. Yes, Riza Hendricks. Yeah, Riza has taken the charge and they're playing beautifully. If you look at that Southampton ground, this ground is really big, and the smaller boundaries. If you going to the grounds dimension, the mid wicket region is the smallest region, that is 76 meter, and the straight boundaries are really big. It's over 80 meters. So I think South African players played that smartly there. They know if they going aerial route regularly there, there's a chance that they may get caught out. And in the middle phase, the partnership between Markram and Riza, that put South Africa to that score. And I think Riza Hendricks deserve the credits. That guy consistently hit 350s in a row, and he shows that he's also in the contention, and you can't forget him in the upcoming the World Cup. And he put the serious case in the team for the World Cup contention. And coming to the bowling, in the previous chat, I told you that Tabrez Shamsi is little bit confused due to the boundaries dimension. Today he is very confident because due to the long boundaries, as there is some assistance from the wicket. But I think his main strength is he's bowling full, and that's where he's getting the wickets. If you look at his wickets today, he's getting the wickets by bowling full. That's the strength of the Shamsi, and I think he's sticking with the strength. And it's not surprising that he's taking 5 wickets, and he is the most impact T20 bowler for South Africa, and the biggest match winner for me in the South African setup. And it is the biggest mistake for South Africans that they criticize him. I think a similar case with De Kock as well. If you take the opposition team, Butler is not scoring runs from the past 12 innings, but he's the one of the most destructive white ball batsmen. Similar with De Kock as well. So I think you should give the time to De Kock, and congratulations to South Africa. I think if they perform well with red ball, I think it will be tremendous for them.
It would have been an excellent series. Drawing the one days and winning the T20s. If we can do the same in the tests and beat them there too, then we'd be great there as well. And guys, I'm going to put him on blast. Aaron, I have invited him. He said he'll be about 10 minutes late. He wants to watch the end of the women's Euro. So, yeah. So let's see if when he comes on board what he'll have to say, because it will be interesting to hear what he says. But Seppo, you've watched the game. You've seen the analysis. You're right here, ready. What's your thoughts, bro?
Really, I say this every time I'm here these days. It's a great time to be a South African cricket fan, guys. Our team is pumping. Like, the batting is good, the bowling is good, the fielding is very, very good. It looks like we have a plan. And yeah, you can see a comprehensive victory in a decider. It feels like this team's ticking a lot of boxes. You guys have said everything that I could really say about this team, really. But yeah, just chatting in the comments about the big question about where does Temba come in now? Wow, wow. Guys, Quinton de Kock is not undroppable. We can't just gloss over this. If Temba was getting these runs, guys, we'd want his head. We'd be like, this guy can't bat for wow, wow, wow. And then I'll say something like, oh, but guys, his leadership. And the same thing you can say for Quinton de Kock. Oh, but what about his keeping? But now there's Heinrich Klaassen. Like, yes, Quinton de Kock has endless potential, but I mean, if he's not firing, he's human. Just let him sit bench for like a few games. Let him have some time away from the game and then come back. Like, I'm not saying we must send him back home to go find form, which I mean, there's nothing wrong with doing that. It's happened to him before. Just before the 2015 World Cup, man was struggling, had to play some SAA games and then just come back. So I don't see why we're not doing that for him now. Just thinking about him as like a player. And I'm not saying for a moment that this guy can't strike the ball and go for the boundaries and hit big sixes. But guys, it's not like every single field is going to lend itself to that type of playing. You know, this game showed that it's hard to score runs sometimes. sometimes you're going to have one side of the field that doesn't accommodate you. Like there's going to be very long boundaries the one side, and if you're going to keep clipping it long to that boundary, you can get caught, and you can literally use that against like a big hitter. So we need to allow our minds to just expand. And we need to say, guys, we don't need a best 11. We need a best squad that is the best for different situations. And we need a plan for different situations. So, yes, I'm just saying Quinton de Kock's not undroppable. He does also offer that left hand bat on the top. And there is a conversation to be had about matchups. But all I'm saying is, guys, I think this team is thinking on a higher level now. Like we've caught up to the other teams. People used to say, "Oh, we're behind. We don't bat deep," but we stuck to our game plan. This is what our game plan is going to be. But now we have spinners as well, which I think is like fantastic. Like we're actually thinking, we're moving with the times. So, guys, the days of undroppable 11s, they're over. Right now, like anyone can come off the bench and destroy, and we shouldn't just leave them there just because Quinton de Kock's a big name. I love Quinton, but hey, bro, if you need to sit bench, sit bench. Don't take it personally, dude. You're the best, but right now you're not. It's fine.
Mm. You see, if you drop Quinton de Kock, it's almost like I feel like you almost have to like drop two players almost to if you drop Quinton de Kock, because like if Heinrich Klaassen comes in, then he's the backup
Stubbs.
keeper. Stubbs hasn't kept for a very
No,
long
I'm
time
saying if
now.
Heinrich Klaassen comes in, who goes out? Stubbs. Like,
Yeah,
or
if that's the
like
case, yeah, that's what I'm
that's like
saying.
an easy swap. And that's the thing about this team. It's so easy to just do this. It's not like Quinton de Kock is stuck there and like no
Yeah,
one
but
is
you still have to
challenging him
drop
for his
two. I
spot.
still feel like almost like you have to drop two players still, because I know you take Quinton de Kock and you're putting in Heinrich Klaassen, then you move everybody
Yeah.
up one. Um,
No,
and
no. Why would you do that? Oh,
I'm
yes.
s- if you bring Quinton de Kock, if you take Quinton de Kock out and you bring Heinrich Klaassen
Yes.
in, you have to move everybody up one. So Riley Russell goes to open, then in that case, with Risa Hendricks, whoever's at the
Oh,
top of the order. That's what I'm trying to say.
no.
So
Oh,
like
no, but
you almost have to,
you'd bring in yeah, okay, you're right. I see. Sorry,
but
yeah,
but
sorry.
I can't but I can't even fathom right now the thought of dropping Stubbs, because I think that as a number six, which we need, he's the only one. I don't see Heinrich Klaassen batting at six, and I don't like David Miller so low. So, like for me personally, if you, for Quinton de Kock, understand why people say just back him, back him, back him, back him, because he's a type of guy that can just perform on the day. I don't believe that people should be undroppable. Yes, I
Yeah.
agree with you, but I think that they should have had maybe a little bit more options with the wicket keeping, so that that they don't just have Heinrich Klaassen that bats four and wicket keeps. Rather, give it to someone like have times for Stubbs to actually wicket keep a bit and to get that flow back in, so he can also be a backup keeper, because he's a backup keeper. He's a keeper too.
But
So
isn't that but why? But Heinrich Klaassen is in the team as the backup wicketkeeper. That's like his role. Like
yes,
that's
I
what
get
he's in
that,
the team
but
for. Even
but
Carl
if you
Verreynne, he's there as well as a backup keeper. Like,
not in the
what if
T20
Quinton de
squad at the
Kock gets
moment.
injured? See, oh, he's not in the T20 squad. Okay, but South Africa do have a backup keeper. What if Quinton de Kock got injured, for
Yeah, I
example?
understand.
And it's
Yeah,
not,
and I do
yeah,
get that.
like it's
But
not
but my
impossible
point my
to,
point is here, you can't bring, if Bavuma comes back, for example, right?
yeah.
The only person I see him come in for at the top of the order is Risa Hendricks, right?
What?
With Quinton, I don't see Risa and Quinton opening together. I can't see that happening. I mean,
Oh,
sorry,
you mean Riza and
Risa and
Temba?
Temba, Risa and Temba, sorry. With the style that we're looking to play, with the attacking vibe that we're trying to play, right? I don't see the two of them opening up the batting. The dynamic between having someone like Risa, someone that's more attacking, works for South Africa when we have it, when we get it right. What's failed for South Africa in the past is when we have a top four of all slow starters. That's what has been a problem for South Africa in the past. Right? Quinton de Kock performs today, then you have a situation that you have a good start. If he doesn't, you have Riley Rousseau that comes in that can get you a good start, even though you've had a slow start. So we have to think of dynamics too. I'm not saying Quinton de Kock is not undroppable. I do believe that maybe some time on the sidelines might be good for him. But I don't think dropping him completely and not considering for the World Cup is a smart idea, because Quinton de Kock is a very
Oh, no,
talented
no, no.
player.
He's not. He's going to the World Cup. I'm just saying, like right now, for the starting 11, like if, like, come on, guys, he's getting ducks, bro. Like ducks. Like there was that 180 that he got
No,
in
we
the
we
six. In the
must criticize him. We
Yeah,
must talk
he
about it,
must, and he
criticize him
must,
100%.
guys, and he must get child. And guys, and we're saying we need two enforcers or we need one to be an enforcer and the other one to be slow. Reza Hendricks struck this 70, hey, at 140. Why can't he take the mantle of being the attacking batsman? Like, why are we putting Reza in this box of he can't score big runs quickly? He doesn't have a quick a quick strike rate. Guys, 140 today. Like, what was he striking at in the last game? Wasn't he like 170 something, guys? Guys, Reza Hendricks. So like that's what I'm saying. People are picking up the mantle here that Quinton de Kock is not picking up. Like if he scored any runs, Quinton de Kock today, he'd be less droppable. But he didn't score any runs, and it's not a problem. Like, but we need to get it into our minds that guys, Quinton de Kock can be dropped. And if it's not Tristan Stubbs, what if it's Riley Rousseau? What if it's Aiden Mark? You see, the thing is, there's so many good batters that we have there that we're having like selection issues, which is it's a dream come true. It's fantastic. It's so good. And why not just get someone else to bat well when Quinton de Kock is not batting well? Like it's what we've been talking about cricket when we're roasting Temba Bavuma. Guys, we need to make cricketing decisions. Guys, he's not scoring enough runs. Whoa, whoa. Quinton de Kock isn't scoring enough runs. Let's make some cricket decisions. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, and I get your view and I get your standpoint. And I'm not going to be standing here going against your standpoint necessarily, because I see merit in both ideas. Because it might be good for him to get some time. And what I want to see is consistency. And if you're talking about consistency and players not performing and then they get dropped for it, in South Africa, we've seen that in recent times, then it should be fair all around. But then they should show the same courtesy to other players too that are not performing well and then need to get dropped too as well. So it needs to be consistent if you're going to be going with that particular mentality. Now, if Quinn is going to continue like this, if he has a start like this in India, and then he starts playing like this in the World Cup warm up matches as well, Ashwani, do you still think about do you still consider not dropping him, or do you feel that Quinn de Kock is undroppable? What is your view on it?
I think you are right that no player is undroppable. But I think if you saw South Africa's upcoming matches, the picture will clear after that. I think you maybe it's too harsh to you can say criticize Quinny. Obviously, he's not performing that well. But I give you the example of Josh Butler. This guy is not performing for past 12 innings. His last that 100 that he scores is against Netherlands, where England scores 498. And obviously he's scoring runs in the IPL, but in international cricket he's not scoring. Same with Quinton de Kock. That guy is scoring 91 against England and plus 140 in IPL too. So I don't think that he's out of the form, but I think he needs some time, which he needs to spend. After that, you will see that the De Kock we knows. And obviously, if you drop De Kock, you will lose a brilliant wicketkeeper too. I think he's the best wicketkeeper too in South Africa as well. The type of catches he pluck out of nowhere, I think I don't saw any keeper even in the world cricket who keeping like that. So I think I will sustain with De Kock, and I think the upcoming matches will decide the future of De Kock as well.
Mm. You almost wanted to see, like, almost wanted to see Quinton de Kock do well with Reza Hendricks and see how they play as a pair, But yet he failed in all three matches, unfortunately, opening with Reza Hendricks. And a, it was difficult to see this happen and continue with Rassi van der Dussen on the bench, because I feel when does Rassi needs to come into this game too, into this team too. He didn't get one game in England. It's crazy, and I don't think there was any injuries or anything. It didn't seem like that when we spoke to him the other night, before the series started. It didn't seem like he didn't think he was going to play or anything. So that's another player that needs to come in. Perhaps he can be that opener that can bat with Riza. I don't know. They've done it for the Lions
I
before in the
think,
past.
yeah, Khalid. I think Boucher is trying to figure out the last 3 to 4 players. I think in his mind he figure out that 11 which will play the World Cup in Australia. But I think the he tried to find out that 3 to 4 extra players which he should carry to Australia, and I think that's why he's experimenting with these guys. So you saw Riza Hendricks is there. I think he should go to Australia. The because not the reason that he's scoring 350s is there because the type of the game quality he has. I think he's the type of player he is. I think he's a bit like Hashim Amla. He's a bit like a timer, and the timer players is more dangerous in Australian conditions. Obviously, we know that that hitter is requirement in you say that T20 cricket. We saw the Liam Livingstone is there, the guys like Josh Butler, but the player who can rotate the single doubles plus can play the big shots with the timing is more dangerous player. Uh, you see the players like Virat Kohli, who is also the same type of player. Obviously, he's not in the form we expected from his the player like Rohit Sharma, who is also a very similar type of player. And you can also compare him with a player like Mahila Jayawardene. Though I don't compare the classes of the both the players, but I think their
Style of
playing
play
pattern is
almost.
same. The style of play is very similar. So I think this type of player should be in the team.
Mm. Well, let's look about this, the facts, and the facts are that 10 games without scoring a massive score for Quinton de Kock. I think the highest score for him in the last 10 games in T20 cricket, international cricket, has been 32, I think, or 36. When I looked, so he is on a
Wait.
unusual. He's on an unusual. Um, this T20 cricket alone.
Oh.
Simple. Yeah. So if you look at, I've seen that you posted over here that 92 was in ODIs, I think. So
Mm.
yeah. So when you look at his form recently, he has been out of form, but I don't think we've seen Quinton de Kock this out of form before. I don't remember seeing him this out of form before. Like with 10 games out of without scoring, I don't remember seeing a run like that in international cricket with regards to Quinny before. Maybe you
He,
can go
he
just to go have a look at that, at the stats, to just double check that. In my
just before the
recollection, I don't.
2015 World Cup, he was struggling. Let me see if I can find. But guys, Quinton de Kock is human. He's going to be in the World Cup squad without a
Mm.
doubt. I'm just
So the
saying, bruh.
question should
Hey,
be then, how do we manage him then at this
then
point?
we just give him some games off. You know, there are two games, or you see, with the games against Ireland, if Temba comes back, then there's a sub. Then you can just quickly do a quick sub. If not, then he just plays. So that basically is what happened with Aiden Markram when someone was injured in test matches, and then he just kept playing because there was an injury, and it kept him in the team. Who was it? Because he wasn't supposed to go to New Zealand. He was struggling in India, but then someone in the middle order got injured, and that kept Aiden Markham there, and it allowed him to play himself back into form. So
Yeah.
it could help Quinton de Kock
Mm.
to find his form now, and I want him to find his form.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, we can't act like he has form now because he
What?
doesn't.
Yeah. What I would like
Yeah,
to do is I would like to allow ourselves to open up our options a lot better. So
Mm,
we're going to play
mm,
2 games against Ireland now currently. Maybe they should let Tristan Stubbs we could keep for the series, for the Ireland series. See if we
you
can do
know,
that as a backup keeper. And then we got options, guys, because then you can drop the likes of Quinny, and bring someone and move up the order, and maybe drop Quinny and then bring in a Rasif and a Disson and then swap him with Riley, things like that. I am still bit concerned about Riley Rousseau on with regards to that first couple of balls that he faces. He does seem a little bit edgy, but I think he is built for that number 3 spot, in my opinion, because when there is a platform there, he really goes and hits hard. Today, he showed the other side of that. He showed that he can come in when the ball's new, he can build himself up and then go and attack. So it would be nice to just see all of our options and open it up completely. And I think maybe getting Stubbs into the mix with regards to wicket keeping in the Island series might be a good idea, just so that you open up your chances. I don't think any play should be undroppable. I understand why people are so fidgety when we mention Quinton de Kock's name in the droppable category, because he's been such a massive player, and he's shown when he's back that he performs Generally speaking, in the past he's done it, but now
Yeah.
he's on a crazy run of 10 games without scoring any runs, which is tough. For any player, maybe he just needs a break.
And that's
Yeah,
okay,
Khalid,
man.
when someone like the caliber of Quinton de Kock performing so long from the past 8 to 9 years, I think he deserved to be given the long rope, which we saw with the case of the great Virat Kohli as well, with the saw of many other players as well in the past. So I think Quinton deserves that long rope. Obviously, you can rest him against the Ireland, and you saw much more players. You can try the guy like Gerald Coetzee as well, who's in the squad as well. Just some subs you mentioned it, he can become the wicketkeeper. So I think Quinton de Kock will go to Australia, that's for sure. But I think obviously rest will freshen him, and I think he can think more about the game. Obviously, Boucher is the ex wicketkeeper as well, so he can understand the psyche of the wicketkeeper, what he is going through when he's in out of the form. So I think it will good for him if he rested for the Ireland T20s, and more freshened De Kock will be more dangerous for the opposition.
I know people are asking questions about Riley Rousseau, and they're saying, how can Riley not still be a certainty in the team? Riley Rousseau, like I said in the past, he's batted as a number three more regularly. It seems like he's the number three and Rassi is the number three. So maybe Ireland is a time for them to experiment these things. Those little things. I don't mind the option. I'm not saying, oh no, you can't pick him as an opener. No, 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 no. I'm not saying that at all. And most openers will struggle in the first couple of overs of a game when the ball is swinging, especially. We've seen that right through the world. When we're facing Bhuvaneshwar Kumar and them, we're gonna face those type of guys. you don't know.
Same thing.
Then we can really get the proper test. So India is actually the perfect test for us because we're going to go into different conditions. We're going to play against a top quality team. I'm presuming that India is going to pick bigger grounds that can be maybe similar to maybe the likes of Australia conditions, as close as possible as you can get within India, and they're going to put the battle on, and we're going to be able to see these different other combinations so that we can
I
have a
think the
holistic team. We're a
Khalid, the
couple of
biggest
decisions
ground.
away.
Yes, sir. Yeah, biggest
We're a
ground in
couple of
India
decisions away.
from the boundary size is Nagpur. I think it is the biggest ground from the boundary dimension size,
Have
and
they mentioned
Ahmedabad.
where we're playing? Have they mentioned yet where we're playing? Do you know the grounds? Are you muted, bro?
Oh, at the key moments, the mute
Yeah,
button takes it away from us.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
they have put the schedule out. I have to look at out where the matches had been held.
Okay, so
When
they have. So let me just check quickly.
yes,
I'll check quickly. Continue with your points, Shwani.
yeah, I think South Africa they need to find out that uh, the players in the top order who think I think obviously if you going to Australia the ball is not swinging that much. In Australia ball is generally seaming. So I think for T20 cricket they don't make that traditional wickets which are unplayable for the batters, and I think viewers also want to get flat batting tracks. So I think De Kock's presence is very necessary there. Obviously, if you play swing bowling, nobody in the world cricket is comfortable against swing bowling because the amount of white ball cricket nowadays is playing. So I think every batter is susceptible against swing bowling. So I think it's not the case with Quinton de Kock as well. So I think we should kept Quinton de Kock's issue sideway, give him the rest, and let him see when he come out from the break what he can do for South Africa.
I also want to jump in there. There was a time when Lungi and Gidi. Oh, I couldn't find bad stats for Quinton de Kock, but I know in 2014 he only scored in T20s. He only scored two half centuries, but he did have a few 30s, so he was okay. He wasn't too bad. But like in terms of quality, just needing to be rested and then comes back, Lungi and Gidi is case and point. He was terrible at a stage, like literally just before this past IPL where he didn't play any games. He was just getting smashed everywhere. Take some time off. Yes, it was a whole season. Comes back and now he's our best bowler, especially of slow conditions. He offers the same variation that Andile Petrokwayo offers, but he has a little bit more pace to him. That it worked for Lungi. He's also a high quality T20 international player. Why can't it work for Quinton, who is also a T20 international player? But yes, I think I'll go to chill on the Quinton de Kock stuff here, um, because I can see people in the comments are getting hurt about their boy. I'm sorry, guys.
Yeah. Let's forget about. Let's move on from that. I think we've discussed that enough. With regards to Quinton de Kock now. Let's talk about the positives. I mean, Lungingidi being in the form of his life, I think that's a major positive. The guys, the guy I always thought that he was going to be that he is the best T20 bowler that we currently have, but because of the variations and how difficult it is to read his slower deliveries, they gave some excellent stats and reviews, not reviews, but analysis of it during the game, showing how difficult it is to read his slower deliveries and his off cutters as well. So I think he's been excellent, and he needs to get some credit for that as well from a bowling perspective. Anybody else that you want to maybe mention, Aswani, that maybe stood out to you that you maybe never expected that they would perform, and then they did, they impressed you a little bit? Um, Thoughts on that?
I think the one guy which I saw want to keen to see was Andile Flickway. The reason is that he's in the scrutiny for the long time, and happy that he's done well with the ball too. But I would like to see him with the bat, what he can offer with the bat, and that Ireland series is a good showcase for him. We see in the Ireland and New Zealand series that Irish team is very competitive side. The guys like Harry Tector, Andrew Balberini, they are serious players, and you might see Harry Tector can pick for the IPL too. So I think it's a good chance for Andile Filqueira. Maybe management can push him up to the order to see what he can do for South Africa with the bat. So I would like to see Andile coming up 5 or 6, so we can show more progress with the bat in the Ireland. So which will give Mark Pocher the clarity about whether we should pick Andile in the future matches or not, whether he should be in the, you can say that 15 member squad, or maybe extended squad due to the COVID which we normally see. So I will very keen to watch Andile with the bat in the Ireland series.
Hmm. Sepa, do you want to say anything before I bring on our next panelist?
I don't want to see Petro Kwayo higher than 7. That's all. He doesn't need to bat. If he's batting, we're in trouble. That's all I want to say. He's not there to bat. He can offer, but that's all I want to say.
Yeah. At the moment, I think still in T20 cricket, I think that personally, I think Wayne Pretorius and Wayne Panalo are ahead of him with regards to the ball. Consistency and especially on smaller grounds, it's even more scary when he's bowling.
Yeah, okay, but like on smaller grounds, guys, everyone's acting like, yo, Andile's conceding so many runs. But on smaller grounds, everyone's conceding runs because you score higher on smaller grounds. Maybe he doesn't need to be economical, but he needs to take wickets. Does Andile take wickets? Yes, he takes wickets.
Yeah,
Do you
yeah,
think that's
Khalid.
his job?
Uh,
I think so.
one, yes, one player also want to mention about Lungi and Gidi. I am very happy with Lungi's performance in this series, because the past 2 3 years I closely observing Lungi and Gidi as a bowler. Because of the fitness, you can say that he's not at his best, whether it is in red ball or in white ball cricket. But after he work in, I think is in IPL, he worked on his fitness seriously, and you see the results. And also, I think he working with IPL coaches too, and also the South African coaches too. He working on the variation
Hmm.
there, and you see the different Lungi and Gidi, and plus the one thing he is doing, he bowls cutters and the well and bowling according to the ground, which we don't see in Lungi's bowling previously. He bowling length bowling in the death overs, which is a you can say that foolish thing by any bowler to bowl length bowling, because it is batsman can punish you with the length ball. So I think he's more clever with the death bowling. Plus, he's more thinkable as a bowler, which I like most about Lungi Nagidi. He before bowling, he thinks a lot which areas I should bowl, and where I should bowl. So I think Lungi is the big positive for me.
Yeah, you guys can't see my the next guest on the little screen at the bottom, so you couldn't see the faces he was pulling. But welcome to the show, Aaron.
Yay!
Hello, the awesome foursome is back in business. How are we all?
I'm good.
Yeah, I'm fine.
Am I?
How are you?
Yeah, well, I could obviously be better, to be honest, but you know what? The game is the game. Congratulations to South Africa. I'm here, my Proteas shirt. Worthy winners of the series. You know, that was an emphatic performance for the likes of Hendricks, Shamsi, Tristan Stubbs as well. I know it's a bit of a cameo today, but goodness me, hasn't his stock risen so much off the back of this series? Just an all-round brilliant performance from the Proteas, worthy winners, and yes, gentlemen, congratulations from an England fan.
So, can I ask you, because they were talking a lot of things on the post-match analysis, etc., about England, etc. Some guys were saying that the Test cricket is going up like this for England, and then the white ball is going backwards. Do you agree with that statement?
Yes.
And why do you think it's happening?
Well, I do agree with the statement. It's pretty obvious. England have now lost 3 T20I series in a row. We don't look great in ODI cricket either. Butler is a brand new captain as well. People have to understand this. In his whole career, Jos Buttler, across domestic and international cricket, has only ever captained 30 professional games. So we cannot expect him to be the next Owen Morgan right from the get-go. It's not realistic. This is also a brand new coach in Matthew Motts. He's come from the Australian women's cricket team, who are one of the most dominant sides in world cricket. He's come to England. Things have not hit the ground running. We need an identity. And to be honest, the thing which has really plagued England so far this summer has been the batting, hasn't it? Let's be honest, again today, to lose by 90 runs on home soil at the Ageas Bowl, and yes, the boundaries are bigger than a Bristol or a Sapphire Gardens, but that's a pretty embarrassing and shoddy batting display from the Three Lions and a Crown in Southampton today. And unfortunately, and I mentioned this on the show the other day, didn't I, Khalid? The top order just has not fired at all this summer in 6 matches. And again, I don't like picking out players because it's a team sport, but I think this has to be said. Jason Roy in 6 matches has scored 78 runs in 91 balls. He's not even striking at 100, let alone 150, 160, 170, which is what we're used to seeing Jason Roy produce at. So that has been a massive reason behind England's shortcomings in white ball cricket so far this summer. I also think the bowling in the middle overs needs to improve massively. England's real strength used to be those middle overs with the likes of Rashid and Moeen Ali, and I can't mention Moeen without talking about the matchups today. He bowled one over. It went for 4 runs and he took a wicket. And then we didn't bowl him again. What was all of that about? Just because 2 right-handers are at the crease, we can't bowl an off-spinner. So there's lots of things going wrong with England at the moment. Yeah. The lack of top order proficiency, the complete obsession with matchups as well. This is something which, as an analyst myself, I don't understand. Sometimes matchups are fantastic, but they're not a given. They are not a guarantee. Just because someone gets out to off-spin on 6 out of 10 occasions does not mean you only have to bowl an off-spinner or you don't bowl leg spin. You have to use common sense. You have to look at the cricket situation. You have to look at your game awareness. And England did not display that today, as you can tell with the passion in my voice. So, yeah, lots of things going wrong for England at the moment. As you can tell, I don't think we're best pleased as fans of the Three Lions and a Crown. We can't have it all. It's like we have a good test team and a terrible T20.
Yeah, Aaron, I sorry for interrupting you. That middle order question I want to ask from you. Yep. Do you think from that England series, England versus India series, the English team is not able to break the middle order batting of whether it's India or South Africa? Obviously, Rashid is not present due to his Hajj Yatra. and after that his Hajj yatra, he came back to England setup. So do you think he's little bit ineffective whether after his inclusion in the English squad from the break?
Potentially, but then again, with Adil Rashid, he's a legend of English cricket. You do have to give him a little bit of leeway, and he has been such a pivotal weapon for England over the past decade in limited overs cricket. So again, with him, the line's a bit more. You can cut him some more slack, basically. With Adil Rashid, he's not been in the greatest of forms in this series in comparison to Tabraiz Shamsi, who in the second and third matches, fantastic. Might I just add, incredibly impressive today. Showed great control as well in the second T20I. So I would agree with Ashwani. Absolutely. The spinners have not been as effective for England. But I don't know where this has come from because in T20I cricket, England used to struggle with power play wickets. You see today we started with a wicket maiden in the very first over of the game. And yet now all of a sudden it's like the shoe is on the other foot. We can take loads of power play wickets. As soon as the middle overs come over 7 to 15, we're struggling. So I don't know how that's come about. I don't know if there's an easy solution. But I think with England, we have to trust our spin bowlers a bit more. And another real major component of that will be Liam Livingstone. He didn't bowl today either. So again, lots of questions, lots of things to be answered. And to be honest, for England, I think we could do with some changes, but I'll hold my horses on who that personnel might just be for the time being.
Aaron, one more question regarding English team. Do you think that England is playing little bit bowling heavy side in the past 2-3 series?
Potentially.
Obviously, because if you consider one extra batsman, because England's strength is batting, obviously, so extra batsmen give them more luxury to play that high risk shots, or you can say that England played natural cricket from past 6 to 7 years. So England's strength is batting. Why they go for totally their batting strength? Do you think that also affect their approach?
Potentially, yeah. But again, we do need the top order to fire. So even if we did bring in, I don't know, a Sam Billings into the middle order just for argument's sake, it's no good if our openers aren't scoring more than 20 runs between them. So I think for the moment, Ashwani, that is a very valid statement. I think England probably will look to extend that batting in some way in the future. As I said, Sam Billings might be an option. James Vince might be an option. We've got someone like Sam Hain who could be an option. He's been striking it at 160 in this year's T20 Blast. But I think the top order for the time being, it might just be a bad run of form, a rough patch for the likes of Jason Roy and Joss Buttler. But for that T20 World Cup, England's philosophy in white ball cricket has revolved around that top four. And if they don't fire, we are in a lot of trouble heading into that tournament down under in Australia.
Yeah, bring in Alex Hales.
Yeah, hashtag.
At least, I mean, from my experience with him, when I spoke to him, he was quite cool actually with me. I don't know what he's like in person or to other people, but the one experience that I did have, I was surprised because I took a long shot to try and interview at the MSL, and he said, "Yeah, sure, of course." And I was like, "What?" Like, okay, cool, let's do this. I really didn't expect it. I expected a cold shoulder. I don't know why. I just got that vibe. But anyway, Aaron, I'm going to talk to you about South Africa now. Thank you, Ashwani, for the English questions.
Yeah, they were good
Because it's
questions,
important for
Ashwani.
us. Yeah, it was important for us to learn from how you guys think about your team now in the situation, because it's almost like in a way that roles have reversed in a way.
Yeah,
Because
you've
I
played
feel,
the Uno reverse card during the
yeah,
course of
because
this summer.
yeah, because I mean, at this particular time, South Africa's batting is looking really strong, and our bowling is looking really strong too. And we're sitting here happy knowing that we have a balanced side where we can also bat deep. We also have the options of doing so. Like, we can throw in two all rounders to bat deeper if we wanted to. They haven't necessarily gone that route too many times, but it is an option now. We have people that are fit and they are ready to play. So, who impressed you the most in the series as well? And then I want to ask you about the two questions after that, after you answer that question.
Okay, so in terms of who impressed me the most, I've already mentioned them, to be honest, Tabraiz Shamsi and Tristan Stubbs. So impressed. Tristan Stubbs, what is he, 21 years old? I'm the same age as Tristan Stubbs, and he's going to go on to become one of the best white ball players on the planet, in my view. Him and Bravis, goodness me, those two have got immensely high ceilings for the Proteas heading into the next 5, 10, 15 years. I'll tell you what, those two are going to be absolutely blockbusters. So I think he's been incredible. I really do. That second game in particular, although South Africa lost it, what a fantastic show of character, determination, and power hitting capabilities. He put the cricket world on watch with that innings. So Tristan Stubbs, absolutely, he is exceptional. And there was a reason why he performed so brilliantly in the CSA T20 Challenge. You know, no one's surprised by this, are we? We were speaking about him all over the South African summer. The guy was exceptional for the Warriors. Yeah, he is someone to watch out for, to say the very least. And then Tabraiz Shamsi, I've always had a lot of respect and admiration for Tabraiz Shamsi. Left arm wrist spin, there's nothing like it in the game of cricket. And he struggled in Bristol, didn't he? A lot of shorts, almost drag-ons and long hops. It was a terrible bowling display by his standards. And then you head into the rest of the series, and didn't he bring it back quite exceptionally? So Tabraiz Shamsi as well, 5 for today. Looked very impressive with his line, his length, his discipline. Really, really impressed. So those two for me were the standouts, Khalid. And for South Africa again, isn't it brilliant for if I am going to speak from a South African perspective now, right? Isn't this brilliant? You know, some optimism, some faith, some hope heading into a major tournament. And as well, I will just say, because I know Tsepo and Ashwani were mentioning him earlier, Lungi Ngidi, you know, he looks like a completely different bowler now, doesn't he? Got his pace back, the off-cutters, the change of pace. Really, really good signs for the men in green and yellow.
And the question that is hanging over all of our heads over here, before I give Tsepo some time to speak, because he's been quite quiet.
I know, I've hogged the spotlight.
No, you haven't. No, you haven't. We needed your input on this particular review show. The question that's hanging over everybody's heads at the moment is the return of our captain. If Themba Bavuma comes back into the setup, everybody in the top 7 is now in form. I don't think there's, except Quinton de Kock, which is another question. Maybe we can throw you another time.
Well, we had that the other day, didn't we?
We had that the other day. We had it again tonight on the show. So let me just first ask you about Themba Bavuma, your opinion from an outsider, not South African, of course, looking from the outside in. How do you think someone? Well, not actually a good question to ask how England would handle it. Let's just ask how you would handle it. Themba Bavuma coming back into the setup. You've got the guys like Rassie van der Dussen, Lungi, Riley Rousseau that have opened in the past before. They have history of that. It's a possibility that they could open with Reza Hendricks or Quinton de Kock. It is a possibility. I'm not saying that it is the best option. I still think Quinny and whoever is the answer to the question, because I'm always at a back.
Quinny and whoever. Who's the second opener?
So I go on form on that one. So for me, leading into the tournament, who's the most informed? I go with that option, because at the moment we don't have necessarily a person besides, like, Reza Hendricks has showed it now, and he's shown signs of it throughout, but he's showing the best consistency now, 3 on the bounce. I mean, there is a possibility that Aiden Markham could also open the batting, that he has been thrown around in the mix as well, because he's an opener. I heard Herschel Gibbs actually speak about it today on Wake Up and Smell the Cricket on Supersport this morning. There was some interesting points made over there, which I'm going to have a whole show on by itself. But let's get your deal on that and your thoughts on that.
Well, he is going to come back, isn't he? Because he's the captain, and he's got the backing and the faith of Mark Boucher and the coaching staff. So it's not a case of if he comes back, he will be back. He's the captain. But if we are looking at the stats, and I don't like saying this because you know I like Themba Bavuma, and I have backed him so many times on this show and will continue to do so, and particularly in Test cricket, where I think even though the stats and the averages might say otherwise, I think he's been a very, very useful cricketer for the Proteas over the years. If you are looking on stats, form, strike rates, he doesn't make that top 6. And I think that South Africa, in a way, have almost created a bit of a problem for themselves by making him the captain of the T20I side so early on, in particular at a time when so many players are in form. When it comes to those openers, and again, it's interesting you mentioned that, Khalid, whoever's in the best form, that shouldn't be how you set up a T20I 11. It shouldn't be a case of that. You shouldn't have 5 different options available and then you choose it on the eve of a tournament. You should have a set opening duo like England do with Jason Roy and Joss Butler, like India do, like Pakistan do. So it's very, very difficult for me to justify where Themba actually goes in this side unless we have that solid concrete opening duo. Could he open? Yes. Could he bat at 3? Yes. Could he bat at 4? I think the conversation of Aiden Markham opening is interesting. But what Aiden has done in his game so brilliantly over the past 12 months or so has been his playing of spin. We saw this for Sunrisers in the IPL. I think in the middle overs, his run accumulation skills are arguably the best in that South African side. So again, they are big questions. I don't think I can actually answer it because it wasn't my decision to make him the captain. I don't have any control over it, but I imagine he'll come into the middle order and that will shake things up for South Africa. And again, you know what would be ideal for the Proteas? If he comes in, slots straight back in, captains the side well, which he's done in the past. We can't forget that. He's very good when it comes to his bowling rotations. He's very good with his field placements. But at the same time, he needs to find form. You can't be a specialist captain in T20 cricket. That's why Owen Morgan retired. It's why Darren Sammy retired as well. So we'll have to wait and see, but Temba will be back. As for your question, Khalid, I can't answer it though, because it's out of my control, unfortunately.
That's why I mentioned it, is because at the moment, every batter in the top 7 is currently in form, including Heinrich Klaasen that was left out, including Rusty van der Dussen that was left out. So we are sitting with an amazing headache to have. Except
guys,
Quinton, and
Quinton de
we've
Kock,
already spoken about Quinton.
But you said you said every batter in the top 7 is on form, and I can't sit here and be like, yeah, no, 100%, no.
Okay, except Quinton.
He's not on form, guys.
Except Quinton de Kock. Yeah, except Quinton de Kock.
I love it. He's a legend, probably one of my favorite cricketers, but he's not on form. That's just the way it is.
Yeah, and the point that I wanted to make is that we're going to have to
stats, man. That's what I'm saying, dude. If we're going with stats for real, why didn't you mention Quinton de Kock's stats, my man?
That is true.
Bring them up. Okay, but it's fine. Sorry.
Yeah.
I'm like, guys, why are we ignoring this? It's fine. It doesn't matter.
We shouldn't. That's the point. That's why I wanted you guys to talk about it.
He has our hearts. Thanks, Quinton, for the great years. But guys, he's not undroppable. He's not. That's what I want to say, guys. He's not undroppable. But I've been saying it all day. But you weren't here, Aaron, so it's okay.
Yeah.
Well, hang on.
That's why
I've got a follow-up to that then. Seppo, who would be your opening duo then for Australia?
Okay, big boundaries. Okay. Temba and Reza Hendricks. Like there. And here's why, okay? In terms of how we structure our team, you can see that there are specific players within specific roles, okay? So the top 3, the players there, Quinton de Kock, Reza Hendricks, Temba Bavuma. They're the ones that have been opening in the top 3. Then you hit the middle. Has Rassi opened?
No, but 3.
Okay, let's actually no. 1 and 2, not 3. 1 and 2. Okay. 3. Rassi, Aiden. Or Rassi or Riley Rousseau specifically. It doesn't. Maybe Temba can go 3, but it's Rassi or Riley Rousseau. Or maybe Aiden can go there. Aiden Markham at 4 or Heinrich Klaasen. Miller at 5, except if we're pushing him down because we are fitting in Rassi van der Dussen and Aiden Markham. Then Heinrich Klaasen comes in at 5. And then David Miller goes there. So the lower and middle order, especially for T20s, it's David Miller, Heinrich Klaasen, Aiden Markham, but he's a little bit higher up the order. So if we're looking at the team and how the team rotates, the obvious answer is you're going to take out an opener and bring in an opener because South Africa is working with roles. There are roles that need to be full, you know. We need openers. We need a stable 3 and 4. And then we need strong batters at 5 and 6. Then number 7 needs to offer something, but that's normally a bowling all-rounder. Your Dwayne Pretorius, your Andile Petlokwayo. And you can see how these players are rotated in those roles. And then it doesn't become a case of 27 players competing for 11 spots. It becomes 4 players for 2, 6 players for 4, or something like that. And that's basically how it goes. So Quinton de Kock, Temba Bavuma, Reza Hendricks are the two openers that you'd have because Quinton de Kock doesn't have form. So the answer is very obvious. If you just look at how the coaching staff is doing things. So yeah, like, and right now, like we can be like, oh guys, Temba Bavuma doesn't strike, wow. But guys, 10 runs is better than 0 runs. You can't talk to me about anything else, bro. 10 runs is better than 0 runs. So that's just the way it is. That's just the way it is.
Can I just
Khalid,
hop in with something from the 2021
yeah,
World
I
Cup?
want to set something. I think
Yes, that's right.
that South Africa's final score should be in India series. I think that series versus India, we know exactly what South Africa's final score should be, and I am not agree with Chapo. Sorry, but I think Quinton de Kock will open for South Africa. That's for sure. Uh, Obviously, he's not undroppable. You said every player, whether it's Don Bradman or whether it's Sachin, whether it's Lara, every player, if he's not performing, he will drop. But sometimes I think the coaches and management give longer rope for players who performs well in the past, and Quinton de Kock is such a special player. I think he should be there for at least for the World Cup. After that, you can decide what type of composition you would form with South Africa.
Absolutely. Oh yeah. Sorry, sorry. I was watching England in the women's Euros just for a second. I do apologise about that. Yeah. In terms
What's happening
of,
there?
it's currently 1-1 in the 106th minute. We're in extra time, but we are on the counter attack right now. Anyway, back to my point. Just to ask Seppo a question, really. But in terms of the opening duo, I just want to go back to the 2021 T20 World Cup because I think I mentioned this on the review shows. South Africa had one of the lowest power play scores in the entire tournament, which, as we know now in modern T20 cricket, power play form is so important, isn't it? You know, scoring 60 plus runs. England in that tournament averaged around about 55 runs per power play compared to South Africa's 41. If South Africa were to take Temba Bavuma and Reza Hendricks to that World Cup in Australia and open with them, and I'm not going to bring up the strike rates because we've already discussed that, do you think that they would have enough power up the top of the order to compete with the likes of England, Australia, India, etc., etc.?
To compete with the likes of England, we've just watched 3 games showing that, we'll be fine. And Quinton de Kock didn't have to score in them. So literally, but
Yeah,
in Australia, it's a different thing. Yeah. So fields will be
yeah,
different. Okay. So obviously,
not
yes,
that.
I do think they will have the capability because Temba Bavuma's strike rate when he bats at number 1 or 2 is 130, which is fine. Okay. He struggled in India. He struggled specifically against Bhuvaneshwar Kumar, who was on fire. Okay. Like he was on fire. That's the way it is. Okay. So if we're going to be cutting Quinton de Kock this type of slack, I think we can also cut Timber with that type of slack as well. Okay. In terms of like the point that Khalid normally brings about, or when you're talking about strike rates, like do you think Reza Hendricks like will not have the strike rate to, or doesn't have the hitting ability to be able to pick guys? He has the ability to do this. He's been scoring big runs. He scored 3 50s in a row, and it's not out of nowhere. He did score a 50 in the SAA series against Zimbabwe, so it's not like he can't do this. And he's been in the setup for a while. So I think there's like the selectors are competent about this. I don't think that they made Temba Bavuma captain just because like they were like, oh wow, let's just do it. Guys, they thought this through. He can bat. He's done it before, and just because like, yeah, so I think yes, they will have the batting power to take it if Quinton de Kock isn't there. But obviously, right now, the key is just having options. Okay. Because now, even with Temba Bavuma gone, there's an option for captain with Keshav Maharaj there. But I think it's going to depend on the conditions. That's the main thing. It's not like we're going to have a starting 11 that's going to be the best 11 that's going to play all 5 games. We're going to go to a field, assess the conditions. Do we need who are the matchups going to be? Do we need a left-hand, right-hand combination the whole time? Is one side of the field longer than the other one? Then we're going to need a left-hand, right-hand combination. Then you start selecting like that. So I don't think, like I said this at the beginning, we need to move away from best 11 mentality. We need to start thinking about who can do the job in these conditions and assess it like that. So yes,
Yeah, we
I
had a
think,
show
yeah,
about that last night. The whole show was about conditions and actually exactly
literally.
that. And yeah, we spoke about that. But for me personally, when I look at it, my arguments for cricketing reasons for Pavuma to be in the team was always the same. It was I felt that he would be the perfect foil for Quinton de Kock to allow Quinton de Kock to bat freer, so that that he can rotate the strike, he can try to get at least some runs on the board and set the platform with Quinny to help Quinn as a partnership, as a pair. Because I was looking for I want solidarity at the, I'm not solidarity. I want solidness at the top of the order. I want them to be a solid pair at the top, that we don't sit with us the situations where we lose a wicket early in the power play. I would like us to see. I would like to see us survive the power play. That's what I would like to. There's a score. Yeah, okay. Let's
Oh,
ignore
there must
Karan
have
for
been a
now.
goal.
But
Oh wait, I just realized that I actually didn't answer the question. In terms the power play. Oh wait, yeah, like we might struggle in the power play, but we'll probably like survive. As you said, Khalid, we'll do fine. Like we don't need to strike in the power play every time to win games. We found other ways to win games. There's some times when you will strike in the power play, like when we did it in the West Indies, for example, when we needed to strike there because there wasn't anywhere else to strike if the ball isn't hard enough anymore. Then bring in Quinton de Kock, then bring in Reza Hendricks, drop Temba Bavuma because you want to attack the power play. But on a different field,
yeah, in certain wickets, yes. Like that's
on
I
certain
understand that.
wickets.
I
Exactly.
understand that. But if you look holistically on decent wickets, now if we're going to look at Australia, for example, Australia have bigger wickets. There's bigger fields, etc. Not wickets, bigger fields. So it's a different mentality over there that I feel that you need to go into this with. And for me personally, I think like not having Rasif van der Dussen in this team is still crazy for me. Like to try and think of that, because he's done so many amazing things for South Africa, but he has done that also in difficult conditions, trying conditions in the UAE. He showed it. He's done it in South Africa. He's done it in other parts of the country as well. So we didn't get to see him in England now, but I can't see Reza Hendricks and Temba Bavuma as an opening pair right now for me personally, because if they do struggle in that power play, it's going to put so much pressure on the rest. So I think it's either Riley or Kwani that rotates, and Riza and Temba that rotates. And right now, Riza's ahead of Temba, pure and simple, by stats, by form, by everything at the moment. Riza just needed some consistency to get on a track of running. He's coming off great form domestically too, and he's now backing it up in the T20 arena. So at the moment, I think that's the call for me. It's very difficult, and with Keshav in the team and Muller doing pretty decently as captains as well, it kind of takes that out of the mix over here. I always said before the World Cup, Temba needs to get form. This injury was at the wrong time for him. It was unfortunately that's how the cookie has crumbled. So for me personally, I think that at this particular time, I can't see Bavuma get back into the team as a batter alone, because he's not coming off any form. It makes it very difficult for me to sit here and say that with honesty and me feeling clear in my mind and my heart, because it's very unfair to Reza Hendricks, and it's a guy that doesn't deserve that type of disrespect, because he's done the time in domestic cricket, he's done the time for South Africa, he's been treated in that way, pulled out of teams, put in teams at random times, 2 hours before a World Cup match, getting called up to come play, when like he's been thrown into the mix and done well. And yes, there's been times where he looked completely clueless, where the ball is swinging, etc., and things are happening. But so has Temba, and so has other players. So I just think at this particular time, we have to be fair. If I criticized Riza in the past for not being in form, and that's why he shouldn't be there, and that he doesn't compliment Temba because he's batting too slow in the power play, I should do the same thing for Temba. That's only fair if I do that. And that's where I'm sitting right now. Temba hasn't played. So what are you gonna base it on? Because it can't be form. It can only be captaincy. And that was the one aspect that I said, you know what, Temba, his captaincy is ridiculous. I thought he was making excellent choices with regards to captaincy, field placement, changing things, etc. That was my reason. I was like, to change your captain is When this team when he brought this team together as a captain and what he was doing for this team as a captain, I thought that was invaluable to the team. That we could maybe get through that 10s and 30s and hope that he comes on form because his captaincy was that damn good. But at this moment, if you have an opener that's doing what Risa's doing, how do you leave him out? I don't know.
If you have an opener that's doing what Quinton is doing, how do you keep him in?
No. So I'm saying drop Quinton, but it's not for Timber.
It's for someone else. Okay. Fair enough.
That's
Fair
what I'm saying.
enough.
That's why I said if you drop Quinton, then Riley opens for me because I think he's the closest person that can offer what Quinny can offer in the power play. That's what we have right now. That's what I think. But I don't know. That's just my opinion. You guys can go around and say your point as well if you want to talk on the net.
As long as Quinton isn't undroppable. My pick is obviously Timber.
I did a show. Aaron was on the show, I think. We did a show.
Yes, I was. Yes.
Yes.
An hour and a half of this exact question.
The whole show was exactly about that. It was exactly that.
Guys.
I
need to go.
Undroppable.
It's been a pleasure, mate. It's been an absolute pleasure.
I hope,
look after yourself.
Well, I see for the test stuff. We should see the test stuff, Aaron.
Of course you will.
Must be here. Yes.
No, that's a must. He doesn't even have a choice.
Yes,
exactly. I'm under contract from Khalid.
He's under contract for the test series. That's important. That's proper conversations. That's real cricket we talk about here.
Much love, guys.
Let's go. Your thoughts on that quickly, Ashwani?
I think you are right in some way. I think if Quinny is dropped from the side, I think Riley is close to him in terms of playing style. But I think Quinton de Kock will play in Australia in reality. If I look
reality,
in all the perspective, because simple is the reason. If you saw Australian wickets, it's very similar to South African wickets, pace and bounce wise. Obviously, the outfields are a bit larger than South African grounds, and Quinton de Kock is the type of player who is, I think, the best in the power play, and he can play much aggressively than Riza and you can say that Temba in the power play, and he's the best player in the power play for me. Obviously, it's all depend upon his form, how he plays in the India series. If South Africa can play him in the Ireland series, I will say that picture will be clear in the India series. What type of South Africa will put up the playing 11 in Australia, and I think South Africa should play that playing 11 in India, which they want to play in Australia. And obviously, and I am very clear about it. Boucher will want to play Quinton de Kock, and he is very much in the plan.
Aaron, you're going to be very happy about this right now.
Go on. Yes! Lavabalo! I have missed you so much, bro. Words, they cannot express. How are you doing, my brother?
Hey guys, how are you guys doing?
No, hang on, this is brilliant. That has made my night.
I've missed you too, mate.
Ashwani, do you want to leave?
Yeah, I want to leave because it's late night in India.
Cool,
Ashwani,
bro.
it's been a
See you,
pleasure,
bro.
mate.
Thank you for coming on.
Oh,
okay, guys, the show is heating up.
Tears in my eyes. Man. It's like the 2020 days.
We're having interesting questions here that I think you need to weigh in on. We're currently talking about Quinton de Kock. Is he undroppable again? We're talking about that right now. If you drop him, who opens? And also with regards to the Temba Bavuma question, when Temba Bavuma comes back, should we drop someone for him, or does he need to fight for his place back as a batter in the side? So those are the kind of three questions that we are talking about right now, if you want to weigh in on that.
Yeah, Khalid, how are you guys doing?
I'm so happy to see you.
Well, it's been a while. It's been a minute.
It's been too long.
Firstly, I don't believe anyone is undroppable. I think I said it on Twitter. I think it was last week. We all know how cricket works. There's always that one reason to drop someone. sometimes the reason could be you need someone who does something differently. A guy could be averaging 100, but let's say, for instance, he's playing in a top seven where no one can bowl. You could drop him for someone who can bowl, and there's nothing wrong with that at the end of the day, because you're doing it for the sake of the team. But looking at Quinton's form, I understand why some people might want him dropped. But he's not one of the easiest guys to drop, to be honest. He's a big player in the side, and you know when he gets going, he is going to win you matches. But there's something that a lot of Proteas fans have this. I don't know whether it's impatience or what you call it. For someone like Quinny to score so many runs and then after 3 or 4 or 5 matches already you're calling for his head, and Reza, for example, he's been struggling for so long, and after 3 matches already, no one wants him to be dropped. So I don't understand how it works. I don't think it works like that. You don't wake up one day and decide, well, Queenie after 5 games, it hasn't been scoring runs, and you forget all the times that he's been scoring runs. Who knows? You might find form in the World Cup and you drop him, and Riza loses form in the World Cup. Who knows? And the other thing is, Queenie is one of your most experienced guys. How do you just decide to forget that? Because let's say you drop Queenie, you're only left with who is it? You left with David Miller. So even if Temba comes back into the side, your batting lineup will still be thin on experience. So for me, I'm not saying Queenie is undroppable, but I'm saying he's not easy to drop. But
Mhm.
I,
Which
I,
is
I
true.
also want to bring,
Hmm.
I also want to mention something else that maybe people want Queenie dropped might use it against him. The fact that he has struggled in World Cups. Well, most of our batters have struggled in World Cups. I always make an example using Hashim Amla. You look at Amla's overall ODI career, compare it to his World Cup in ODIs, you'll see the difference. And so far, it's been the same thing with Queenie. And I think this is something that CSA needs to find a way to address, because I think even KG has the same issue so far. He does well throughout the year, and then when it comes to World Cups, he sort of drops a little bit. Maybe it's a matter of our players not being able to handle the pressure of a World Cup. I don't know, but I think it's something that we really need to look into. But to say we're gonna drop Queenie, I think it's a bit too soon. But it's good that we have so many options. It's good that even he himself knows that if he doesn't find his form, he might have to sit out, because you have Heinrich Klaassen, he can keep wickets. You have Tristan Stubbs, who can keep wickets. So I'm sure Queenie will be knowing that he needs the runs, and I'm sure he won't be comfortable. The thing is, I think we misunderstand Queenie, because of the personality that he has. Whenever he goes out, he gives you the feeling that he doesn't care
He
that he
doesn't
went
care.
out. But I can tell you now, he cares. He really, really cares, and he hates going out. But a lot of people always get this feeling that Queenie doesn't want to play, Queenie that, and it's not true. He's not doing it on purpose. He's trying to score runs, but it's clearly not coming off at the moment. But he's going to come right eventually. With Temba, it's a tough one. It's a tough one. How do you decide to forget that a few months ago you decided to make Temba your captain? Can you just decide all of a sudden, well, Temba's not good enough? When we made him captain, he was never a great T20 option. We need to be honest. When he was made captain, he was never a shoe in fit in the T20 side. So that's something even the selectors know. So if they decide all of a sudden, well, let's can him as captain, it means you must even drop him from the side as well, because I don't see him making it into the squad if he's not captain in the first place. The truth is, they picked him, they made him captain. There's a World Cup coming shortly. They must stick with him, because they made him captain in the first place. It means they saw something in him. He's a good captain, I'm not gonna lie, and he's not a horrible T20 player as well. He's just not. He is not your typical T20 player, especially in 2022. Maybe 2007 he would have survived, um, but now for me, I don't know. I heard Tepo saying he would play open with Riza and Temba at the same time. That's
Can't see
something
that
I hope
happening. Yeah.
we don't. I hope we don't get to see that. I really hope we don't get to see that.
It is, that's the problem for me, and I said the same thing. I was my defense, like I always tell people, my defense for Temba was not a defense of saying, oh no, he's good enough to play, or whatever the case may be, or he's the best player in that we have as an opener. That was never my defense. My defense was the dehumanizing of him when they criticize him, and that was the problem with me. I did think that he had the qualities to be able to bring the best out of Quinton de Kock. I still do think that he does have that. But now with Riza playing the way he is, Riza could do the same job. I feel Riza can play that role. He's done it. Batted right, he batted deep in many games. Won games for the Lions in that manner, where there's attacking batter on the other end. So I do see Riza doing that role too, especially in form Riza, because the in-form Riza is amazing to watch. Out of form Riza, and he would even admit it himself, looks like puzzled. And that's the problem. I mean, with Quinny out of form, Quinny's getting himself out. He's not necessarily looking bedazzled by what's happening to him. He's literally getting himself out. And I don't know why that happens. Obviously Lubabalo as a coach will tell you that cricketers go through this. Cricketers go through these blocks and they go through these patches. And cricket, you fail more than you succeed. I've said it so many times. So yeah, it's interesting points that he made there. Aaron, you want to add anything to that?
Well, first and foremost, what a return. That was quite sensational, wasn't it? Similar to Thierry Henry's Arsenal return in 2012. But in terms of what Lubabalo said, yeah, just absolute facts, to be honest. I think he analysed and summarised it quite well, as he usually did when he used to come onto the show. The only thing that I will say, and this is coming from a more holistic approach, I suppose, when it comes to South African cricket, isn't it fantastic that we're having these conversations because there's so much talent present in the country? There's so much competition at the moment that we can afford to have these discussions. And I would agree with the outlook that's, it's you've got to have two certain openers. It can't be a Quinton de Kock for Bavuma. You can't switch those two. You've got to have an aggressor, and then you can have a more patience accumulator role, which, as I said, Reed or Bavuma can do. Bavuma's done it in the past. He did it excellently in the England-South Africa series in 2020, that was. Goodness me, that seems like a very, very long time ago. But yeah, I think it's interesting and important to note that you can have two archetypes. You do need an aggressor, but South Africa need power play runs. That's one of the things I'll be looking at from an analyst perspective. At the end of that World Cup in Australia, can they surpass that 41 run mark? Because if they can, they're going in the right direction. Because you've got to get power play runs in modern T20 cricket. Between 50 and 60 runs sets you up beautifully for big totals in this format. South Africa need to achieve that. So yeah, that'd be the parameter that I would be looking for personally, heading into both the India series and of course the Australia series in the months that follow.
I've got a caller. I just want to bring on the caller. Hussein, welcome to the show, bro. Thank you for calling in again. Your thoughts? You want to weigh in on the topic that we're currently speaking about?
Yeah, hi guys. Just I got a thought of what if maybe we drop the Cock to number 3, and then you open with Riley and Riza, and then the Cock can come in at number 3, and actually might work out better for him to come in at a number 3 role, so you can take out a bit of pressure from him. Because now when I looked at the recent ODI T20 series that finished, he struggled against mainly David Willey and the swinging ball. So maybe if Riley and Riza can open the innings and just hit the ball around a bit and get the ball a bit old, then the Cock comes into his own, and he can really, get the score going and get things going again. I don't know what you guys think.
Luba, I want to ask you actually about this, and particularly about the swinging ball, because what I've noticed. I'm no coach, so I'm just looking at it as a fan. Yeah. So, what do you think is, because quite a few of our batters struggle against the swinging delivery. It's not just only some of them. It's quite a bit of them that seem to struggle against that moving ball. So, what do you think is the issue with regards to that, and how can we improve on that? Is it mainly just playing in more swinging conditions overseas, or can we replicate those type of conditions here in South Africa to try and get that sorted out? Because I think that we're having those type of problems in South Africa currently.
When it comes to swing, I think sometimes it's a matter of technique. Um, if you don't have the technique, you'll get exposed most of the time. I don't want to make an example using a name, but there's a guy who debuted in England for us in the test cricket a few years ago before Aiden Markram. We saw he tried so many things. Tried playing outside of his crease, tried going deep, tried playing on his off stump. But now the issue was he was trying the right things, but because he did not have the right technique, he struggled. So I think it's a mixture of everything. Trying to get the technique right, and then playing in those conditions as much as possible. So if guys can go and play in England in those conditions, it will definitely help because it will also help them. it will it will definitely also help them get used to playing in swinging conditions because you don't just wake up one day and you can play a swinging ball if you don't get to face it. Because I also believe that the more you play, the better you get. So yeah, if guys can go, I don't know whether we can replicate swinging conditions. Um, we can try having pitches that move off the pitch, but then it's different to there's a difference between a ball that's moving through the air and the ball that's actually moving off the pitch. So I would say if guys can go and play wherever the ball moves, I think it helps. But when it comes to T20 cricket, I think it doesn't play that much of a role. White ball cricket, unless you're facing movie, of course, we know he gets the ball to move. But most of the time in T20 cricket, I don't think it's that much of an issue. And I understand where Hussein is coming from, but I don't think dropping down the order is going to help him or the team. Um, I think one of you guys mentioned that the team, there's roles in the team. So you either play the role that you are given, or you make way for someone else to play that role.
Yeah.
I've never been a fan of dropping players down the order because they're struggling, because I've always found that it messes up the balance of the side as well.
Mm.
So we pick you to open. You're not scoring runs opening. Sit out. We have an opener sitting in the stands. Let's try him and see how he's going instead of trying to move you. Because the minute you move someone in the order, it means someone else must move. For example, if you drop Queenie, where does Miller bat? That means David Miller now must go to 6 or 7 because you decided to drop Queenie from opening. You see how it messes up the whole balance of the side.
Yeah, I agree with that points actually. That's why I wanted a little bit to give you a more technical perspective of it. But like, yeah, I don't think if someone's out of form, moving him out of down the order just to fit him into the team is a good idea. Especially when you have people in that position that are striking and doing well. Like we've got a couple of number threes that are really good. I mean, we have Rasif van der Dussen that didn't even make this particular team. Who I always like talk very highly of that man because from a mental perspective alone, that guy should be selected every time. Hussein. But okay, let's get the final thoughts. I know you called in quite late. I need to wrap it up. I still have a magazine to edit and put together. So, from your perspective, Aaron, let's get your final thoughts. And Hussein, and then we end off with Lubabalo.
Well, yeah, I'll keep it short and sweet, to be honest. Excellent series win for the Proteas, puts them in fantastic form, really ahead of that India series, and of course the T20 World Cup. So, South Africa, big positives to take away from this series. That's how I'd look at it, in particular when you consider they didn't have their first choice captain at their disposal either. As for England, yet more disappointments. That's now 3 bilateral T20I series in a row that have been lost against the West Indies, India, and South Africa, respectively. We still can't bat. The bowling has been great in the middle overs, and we're not in the best of form. So for England, it is almost like the roles have reversed compared to this time last year before the 2021 T20 World Cup. But again, it's early days. We've got a brand new skipper, brand new coach. It was never going to be plain sailing. So for England, stay the course. I would probably produce some different 11s. I would look at different personnel heading into that Australian tournament. But again, that we can save for another show. But just one final thing, because Lubabalo, it's been so long since you've been on the show. I couldn't go this show without mentioning one player. John Trevor Smuts, isn't he a fantastic cricketer? 180 runs at an average of 45 in ODI cricket. Get him back in. How dare you? I'm being censored by Cricket Fanatics magazine for pushing John Smuts propaganda. This is unbelievable. But yeah, it's a pleasure to have you back, Bro. It really is. We've missed you, as you could tell by my reaction. It's been far too long. I hope you've been doing well.
Yeah. Okay, Hussein, you wanted to say something before Luba goes?
Yeah, my final thoughts on the series is a really good bounce back from the first game. I feel that we got two more games against Ireland in the same venue, so I think that those two games will be a good test for us to see that how we can manage our bowling in smaller grounds, and when our bowlers do go for a bit of tap, how we can actually stop the bleeding and make things work for us again. And on our batting side, I think our batting has been really good, really solid. When we're setting scores, we're good at setting scores. We just need to be challenged into chasing a target. And once we get that right, then I feel that we're in good stead to go into the World Cup.
Okay, I'm sorry. Luba, I just want to throw in excellent points there, Hussein. Thank you for that. Luba, from your perspective, I just want to ask maybe an extra question in there. I mean, we're playing Ireland next. I maybe contemplated the idea of maybe Tristan has kept before. He stood behind the wickets before. Maybe an option for him to maybe keep against Ireland so that we have that extra option of another keeper that doesn't that so that if Quinton de Kock maybe falls away, he can take the gloves and then we can bring in another opener and bring in Rassi maybe at 3 and then move Riley. Oh, he's gone. No, network has killed us, guys. Would have been nice to end off with that question. Maybe we can keep it for another show, and I'll try to get Luba on again. But guys, to all of you out there, thanks a lot for tuning in. It's been an excellent show. I really enjoyed it. Thank you, Aaron. Thank you for Hussein for calling in. Thank you, Ashwani. Thank you, Tsepo. Everybody that has come in. Please subscribe to the channel and click that notification bell for all future videos, please. Very important you do so. We're also working hard, like I said, now till it's done. I'm going to be working on Cricket Fanatics magazine, the monthly magazine. So the link is on the screen as well as in the description as well. And we'll get back to you again very, very soon on the rest of the things. You also can become part of the Patreon account as well. Oh, Luba's back. Let us get his thoughts quickly. Are you back? Are you back? Please be back. Yo.
Look who's back. Back again.
Can you hear us, bro? No, it doesn't seem so. I think he's still stuck. Okay, guys. Unfortunately, we'll bring him on another show to get his thoughts on ahead of the Ireland series. But thanks a lot for tuning in, everybody. I hope you guys enjoyed the episode, and we'll see you again tomorrow with another daily show. Have an amazing week, amazing night, and we'll speak to you very soon. Cheers. Peace.